Hi, welcome to our compliance enforcement service demo. Today we will take an example policy, apply the policy on a data principle, and finally understand how the compliance enforcement works. Okay, so now I have sort of logged in into the DPO console. I will go to the policy section and I have a policy called the Nirmaya patient version 5. So this is just an illustration of a healthcare clinic. The policy is for the patient. And if you see the policy, there are four purposes. One is the for the patient engagement, where uh, for all the clinical visits, like scheduling the appointment, etc. The policy is like the retention duration is 3 years after the relationship is over, right? So after the, this is the configuration that I have done, but so you will configure it based on your organization's policy. But the policy configuration is the patient registration and appointment should be sort of deleted 3 years after the relationship is over. The next one is the medical records. Here the retention value is like 10 years after the relationship is over, right? The third area is the billing payments. Here the retention duration value is 7 years after the relationship is over. Okay. The fourth one, however, is a wellness update, right? This one has to stop immediately after the relationship is over. Okay. So I have these four policies, and this policy is sort of configured in the system. Um, so now I will uh, go over as a user and sort of experience this policy. In order to do that, I need to do a consent. So I give my app configuration. Policy ID is the one that I should define, right? So now if you see here, I mean, it allows me to go between English and Kannada. So I've chosen the English, and all the four purposes they show up here, and the first top three are mandatory. The fourth one is the wellness update. So I'm going and sort of giving the consent for all four. Say apply changes, right? My consent artifact looks like this. I have given consent for all four purposes. Now I'll connect, link the purpose with the data principle. The data principle, okay, let me just take an example, Nikhil at demo.com, right? So there is a anonymous profile that got created, consent that got created. I am linking the anonymous consent with Nikhil at demo.com, right? So now this is the first step, right? So once this is done, what I will do is let me okay, my main system is validating the user consent for uh, the data processing. So how that works, if we can recollect from the earlier demos, so I have these consent verifier uh, interface where I can sort of plug in and validate. My data principal ID is here, Nikhil at demo.com. Right, so let me validate it for all the purposes that I have. So verified, right? Because I had given the consent. Similarly, for medical records, so my clinic app will use this consent verification and first to validate, and then once the validation is successful, it will use the data. Right? So now, so this my clinic app is used all of these consents and also including the wellness updates. Now, as you can see, so the all four are sort of validated, right? So now let me log in as the user. So once I log in using the user dashboard. Or the user dashboard, I'll have to plug in the API key and the secret. So in this case, I'm using the same API key and secret. I mean, assuming it's all one single app. But yeah, if your clinic is using multiple apps, then you should use different API key and secret. Okay, so now this is my user dashboard. As you can see, all the consents are there. What I now do is I decide to give the eraser request, right? I don't even want to withdraw, right? I can do withdraw, but I just doing say, okay, now my relationship is over. Let me do an eraser request. And as you can see here on the dashboard, so the eraser erasure request has been given. I can also confirm that by looking into the DPO console. By if you look at the eraser request here, uh, so here and so you see on the context detail there is a JSON. I think you can sort of carefully inspect that by let me open up the JSON formatter. And if you see here right now, for each of these purposes, the system had, based on the policy that I had configured, it has arrived at the expiry date. For the first one, which is the patient management, I had given 3 years, which is why now it's saying the expiry is on 2029. For the other one, medical records, I think 10 years, I think. So, which is why it's now showing 2036. For the billing, it's showing 2033. However, if you see for the wellness updates, it's like because I have sort of said, okay, now my relationship is over. Immediately the consent expiry is like today, right now, right? So this is what I am seeing um, the audit uh, log. Now, how do I, how do I ensure that, okay, now my consent management system should enforce the compliance? How will it do? So there is a nightly enforcement process the system will run. But for the sake of the demo, I can, manually force the compliance enforcement. So you can do a full system scan or you can do a single data principle. I will now choose the single data principle and I'll say Nikhil at demo.com. Right. So then I kickstart here. Immediately, if you see there is a job that comes, it sort of opens. The system works in such a way that it will check every 2 minutes, and if in the next 2 minutes, if the this one if the job is started, it will go and run. Just a second, let me open up the command for should be in the GitHub. So yeah, this logs here will sort of show the log, server log. As you can see here, it is, I think we are still waiting. The job is still pending. And when the job sort of completes, you will get a processing message here. I'll just pause my video until sort of it completes. Yeah, and now as you can see here on my console, the processing happened for this data principle, Nikhil at demo.com, and sort of it enforced the purge. Right? So this is what happens. When this happens, and if I sort of refresh my background job, it will say, okay, it is completed, and I can also refresh here. See, so now this is how my compliance enforcement engine sort of enforces the compliance. And here you sort of see a record and saying that okay, there is a purge initiated. I think at this point of time the client SDK should be able to get access to this purge initiated, and they will be able to act on it. In the case where API integration is not there, the DPO can actually can manage the purge request. The DPO can say, okay, now I've manually sort of disabled the wellness update, and they can say, okay, manual override. So with that, the DPO can act on it. So this is how the DPO sort of acts on. Once this is done, I think if you can also see the audit, here it has to say that the DPO sort of complete. For some reason, it is not coming, but it is supposed to come. But you sort of get the big picture. Okay, purge initiation system, right? Once it's all done, I can go and download all of these things, including the compliance log. I can go here and I can uh, choose the start date and date and initiate export. So this sort of generates a Excel file that you can use it for processing and submitting to the your board or the data protection board. Yeah, thank you.